Hey, it's James from Marketing for Restaurants. Welcome to episode 74 of Secret Sauce, the Restaurant Marketing Podcast. Day 7 of the 7-day Restaurant Marketing Challenge, monitoring your marketing. Hey everyone, welcome back. So this is a really interesting experiment for us. You know, I'm always talking about product innovation. This is us innovating. And to tell you the truth, I've got no idea how this is going to go. It's going to be really interesting to see. And in future podcasts, I will come back to you and let you know what sort of rate we had with people going through this, because I think it's a really interesting way that we can help educate and motivate people to be able to be better restaurant marketers for your own business. So this is day 7, and what we're talking about is monitoring. And I'm really passionate about monitoring because there's a lot of things that make it a lot more difficult to run a restaurant these days than it was 10 years ago, even 3 years ago. But one of the things that makes it really easy is online marketing is really, really accountable for its effectiveness. It shouldn't be one of those things where you sign up for a 6-month contract with someone and they're going to charge you $20,000. I mean, these are some of the sad stories I hear from people. They sign up for these big contracts and they get nowhere with it. And the thing is that once they start delving into it, there are the tools out there to be able to work out how effective your online marketing is. And then they go, wow, this is not effective at all. So what we want to do is we want to go through the 4 of the things that we talked about. So the first thing we're going to look at is the ad spend for the ad campaign that we ran. So remember the metric that we first looked at, and that was the reach. What was the reach for your Facebook ad? Now, we're talking about day 7 here, and we ran the ad on day 5. So we're only 2 days since we started running that ad. Ideally, you're going to leave that ad to run probably another 4 or 5 days just to sort of see, because Facebook may still be sort of tuning. It's going to get an idea of the kind of people it can show this to, and then it'll get an idea of the kind of people that it should show it to. And as it works out who it should be showing your ad to, the cost per engagement is going to come down. If you've got a really good ad and you're showing it to a decent sized audience, you might be getting an engagement for 1 or 2 cents per engagement. That's going to increase the reach for your restaurant. So initially we looked at reach, and this is what you're going to see. So all we wanted to do is to do a Facebook ad and see what sort of reach and engagement you've got. Then you might have likes. You might have put a link in the Facebook ad back to your website, so you might get people clicking through. You might get, if you're really lucky, you'll get people sharing. If people share your content, and I'm not talking about you sharing it or you know, the chef sharing it or someone from front of house sharing it. I'm talking about your customers sharing it or people who aren't. I mean, it's really great when you get people who aren't your customers sharing it because they're highly likely to come into the restaurant. But what sort of engagement did you get with it, and how much money was it costing you? Because Facebook has limited inventory these days, so there's limited ads that it can put out there, which is why it is pay to play now. You have to put some money out there because if you don't have any money, Facebook's not going to show your ad to people or your post. So you're putting a small amount, and remember we talked about $3 a day. If you got 1 like and it cost you $3, then that number, the cost per engagement is going to be $3. That's really, really high. And you want to be avoiding that sort of thing. So the great thing about this is that Facebook is telling you that the people in your town, because remember we targeted probably within a 10-mile radius, fairly untargeted, and there's ways that we can make it more tightly targeted. But that would be, and I've never seen it that high, so that would be highly unusual to see that. One thing to remember though is that Facebook views an engagement with a post as being, if you've got a lot of text in there and there's a more thing, so you can see more of the text. If you click on that, that's an engagement. If you click on the photo, that's an engagement. If you like or share it, that's an engagement. If you comment, that's an engagement. So if you're getting likes, shares and comments, that's really good. But Facebook will tell you what it was for someone to click on your ad in some way, shape or form. 1 to 2 cents that means that you're doing a really, really good job. We do some ads where we'll get down to like 0.2 of a cent. We're pretty happy when we get that. Although, once again, you want to be focused on why are you running this ad. Now, this was just about, I wanted you to run an ad so that we can say, you know what, we ran our first ad. That's awesome. It wasn't designed to drive people to your website. There may not have been a call to action. This is just to run an ad. Now that you know how to run an ad, hey, you know how to run an ad. So you can go in there and play around with it and be a lot more targeted with the kind of things that you're going to be doing. You're also starting to get an idea about what your customers, what your target audience is really interested in. So have a look at that. That's the first thing that you wanted to do. Now, the second thing, go back into Google Analytics or Piwik if you're using our system, or Marketing Central that is, and have a look at the web traffic. Now, when did we do it? Day 4 of the challenge. So only 3 days ago. I would expect nothing to have changed, really, as far as search engine optimization. I doubt that Google will have indexed your page. It can take 30 to 60 days for Google to index some people's websites. So if you've got poor SEO, you're probably not going to be getting that much traffic. Now, you may have got some traffic from Facebook, and that will come up as, traffic from Facebook, where someone has seen your post that you ran an ad to, and then they've gone, wow, that looks awesome. I need a bit more information about this. And then they've gone and clicked the link from Facebook. That could happen. You may have got traffic from your email campaign that you sent out. So your web traffic from SEO, probably no change whatsoever, but you would like to see a little bit of extra traffic on the website. Next, your email open rate. So go into the email system that you're using, and that should be able to tell you. So MailChimp's really good at this. It will tell you how many people it sent emails out to. It will then give you an open rate, and it will then give you a click-through rate. So as we look at this data, if you sent it out to 1,000 people, you might have an open rate of 10% and a click-through rate of, let's say, it's 5%. And you're going to look and go, wow, the click-through rate's only 5%. That's one way of looking at it, and that's the way that MailChimp presents it. The interesting thing is, though, that to click through it, you've got to open it up. Now, if only 10% of people opened it up, it's probably because your subject line is not great. So if you have a 10% open rate and a 5% click-through rate, it's actually 50% of the people who opened your email click through on it. So whatever you did to get that click-through, don't stop doing that. That's epic. That's a really good result. What you need to work on is your subject line. If you get, say, a 20% or 25% open rate, that's epic. If you've then got a 1% click-through rate, there's something wrong with the call to action in your email. Now, one of the things that's really important is that you look at the actual metric that you're looking to influence, and that's not open rate, click-through rate, or even visits to website. It's much more about bookings, it's much more about orders, and more importantly, it's about revenue. And I've told this story before about we ran a campaign for a restaurant. The restaurant owner said it was really, really successful. We were high-fiving everyone and, congratulating everyone on an awesome campaign. The interesting thing was that it was only when we went in and had a look at the campaign that on the face of it, it wasn't that successful. And after we did a bit of analysis, what it was, this restaurant was in a regional town. Everyone knew where it was. What we had done was create the desire to take the action to go in and have breakfast there. And people knew where they were. They didn't need to go to the website. And people knew that people assumed that they weren't going to be busy, so they didn't think they needed to make a booking. So none of those sort of things, we didn't see people making bookings. We didn't see people going through to the website. It was just, and so it was pancakes over the weekend, go in for pancake, take the family and blah, 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 blah. We know that the campaign worked because that was the only thing that the restaurant did that was talking about pancakes. The restaurant was full, which was dramatically up on what it had been previously. I think it was the best weekend that they'd have, or the best Sunday morning trading that they'd had for 6 months. And everyone was asking for pancakes, which, by the way, was the highest margin item that they've got. So that's why we wanted to talk about right back at the start, we wanted this to be a revenue, because I think that's a really important metric that you want to be focusing on when you're doing anything in regard to online marketing. You want to be making sure that all of the things that you do are aligned with revenue or the goals of the campaign, which is generally going to be revenue. You want people to be coming in and spending money with you in your restaurant. That's really important. So there you go. Now, as we like to underpromise and overdeliver, so we've got one more day in the 7-day restaurant marketing challenge. What I'd really like for you to do, though, is to hit us up, send us an email, and just what did you get out of it? What were the things that you struggled with? What areas should we cover in an upcoming podcast? How did it go? What successes did you have? What failures did you have? The important thing is that if you have some failures, that's fine. It's good. In fact, it's a sign of a strongly growing business. You want to be iterating around things. You want to try new things. So, and this is a perfect example. We haven't tried anything like this before, interactive, where we've linked up with the podcast with an email chain. So we're really keen to find out how you got on with it, just as you should be keen to hear from your customers. How did they find the campaign? Was it something that the meal, you remember right back at the start when we came up with that menu item? What did people think of that? What was the honest feedback about that menu item? Is it something that was going to drive them into the restaurant, or is it something that they just thought, no, that's not something that I want to eat, or it's not something I want to eat in your restaurant? So really important to try and close that loop with getting as much feedback as you can. That's about it. Final podcast tomorrow. We'll be talking about the next steps on from here. So that's about it. You have an outstanding day. Bye.
Want more customers for your restaurant, cafe or takeout? Every month, our marketing tools and information are used by thousands of restaurant owners just like you to help them find more customers and turn them into repeat customers. All of our tools and information is designed specifically for restaurant owners. We know you don't have a lot of time to spend marketing or learning complicated procedures, so our tools are quick and easy to use. If you're looking to increase your revenue and profits or want to work less hours, check out marketingforrestaurants.com.